Welcome back, everybody. This is Music Talk with Dave and Mike. I'm Dave,
I'm Mike. How you doing?
and this week we're checking out the new Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen. Pretty cool album cover. I like the thing on there. It's pretty neat. If you look closely, I don't know if this is intentional, but it looks like you can make an A and an S out of that, and then an R and a K for Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen. I don't
Hmm.
know. Not sure if that's what they meant to do, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. Pretty neat. It's the cardboard case again. We don't have the plastic one like last week. At the inside there, we got them two
Right.
standing there. Back of it, it's got this picture. You can read it pretty good. I'm happy with the way they have the tracks on there. Got the same thing here on the CD, but different color, a little darker. And you have the nice little insert. Same thing on the front. Got all the words, got all the tracks listed, who plays on what. Got a nice picture of them. Same picture that's on the back, but this one's actually in color,
Yeah.
you know. And of course, they're branding that pretty good. So it'll be a nice t-shirt when they start selling them, I'm sure. But anyway, doesn't really have a name. It's just the Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen CD
Yeah.
album, which is cool.
Hmm.
So I mean, uh, you know, I thought it was a really good CD. I was really surprised. I wasn't quite expecting what we got here with Adrian Smith because, as everybody knows, he's been with Iron Maiden since the early '80s, right?
Yeah.
So you're expecting a lot, from him. You would expect it to be a lot more heavy metal, but those of us that would follow his other stuff would know that he's more of a blues rock guy too. He's
Yeah.
got some other stuff out. He's got a band called ASAP that he's done some stuff with. So, and he also, what surprised me the most on this record is that he did a lot of singing on it.
Yeah. I was impressed with the whole thing because of the fact that both of them were the ones that produced and engineered and played most everything on there except for three tracks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they recorded it in Turks Caicos, right?
hmm
And guess who did the mixing on it? You're not going to guess.
Nope.
Kevin Shirley, the caveman
Okay.
in Australia. So that
Okay.
same guy that does Bonamassa stuff.
Right. Okay.
So that was pretty cool. I was a surprise too.
Yeah.
Normally Richie does all his stuff. I mean, he does everything.
Yeah. I
So
kind of thought that he would have done this too. I know that he and Smith were the producers of the album, and they
mhm.
all covered everything on the album other than three drum tracks, and
Yeah, and I thought there was only two drum tracks, but then when I started looking at it, it's actually four. Tal Bergman plays on the last three songs.
was it last week? Because I
Yeah.
looked at it earlier on information on the website, and it just gave him Solar Fire to Nico McVeigh. I want to stay to Tal until tomorrow to Tal.
Yeah, well, on here it's got Tal Bergman drums on tracks 7 through 9. So that's 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah,
I
you
went
don't
back and
know.
listened to it, and you can tell that there is a difference. I kind of wish that they would have used the drummers on all of it. I mean, Richie played the drums on the first 5 tracks, and I mean, he's a decent player, but I think the songs would have sounded better with a professional drummer, really. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
when you get to the ones with them on it, you can tell the difference right off the bat, right? Um, and I really did
yeah,
wish they would have brought a bass player in too, because I mean, Richie plays on the first 5, and then
Adrian.
Adrian plays on the rest. So, and I mean, that's cool. Maybe first 6, I think, and then Adrian
Well,
plays the rest.
you know how these things go, though. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys probably what even started the whole thing. Honestly, was that they were sitting around and just started jamming on a couple of things that they were writing. They're going, well, hey, let's do an album. Well, hey, let's do the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, what
And
happened
then,
was they hang out in a bar in Malibu. They live in the same neighborhood,
right,
and they were hanging out in the bar. And Richie's wife knew Adrian's wife,
Uh-huh.
and introduced him. And she was like, "Yeah, my husband plays guitar for Iron Maiden. Adrian Smith is his name." And he's like, "What?" Because he grew up listening to Iron Maiden too.
Right, right.
So then they started hanging out, going to dinner and stuff, and decided, why not do something? So they just kind of sat around and jammed. And then
Hmm.
what came from it was, you know what? We need to go ahead and just do something. So all these things, none of it was pre-written. They kind of just did it all on the fly. So, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, and that's what I think. And I think the fact of bringing in Nico and Tal was just, oh, hey, they're in town today.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I never did find out how that worked out. I know that they had all the tracks done. So I'm thinking since, Nico, he's from Australia and Kevin Shirley's in Australia. So I'm thinking
Right.
he probably brought him in on that. And, Adrian Smith probably said, "Hey, let's let Nico do one." And Tal Bergman is good friends with Richie.
Yeah.
So he's, brought him in on some too, which is cool. And I mean, I liked all the songs. We can go
No,
through them real.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really miss anything in the drumming in any of the tracks. I mean,
Yeah,
the stuff that once I realized Richie was playing, he played in the pocket, and he
yeah,
didn't play. I mean, he didn't try anything he couldn't do. It wasn't distracting.
yep,
It fit the song,
yep.
and that's all you need.
And
And
that's
it
the
had the
same.
live sound. It had the live sound.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Thank God.
At least, yeah, at
you know,
least we knew we had a real drum set there, right?
because I'm telling you right now, I'm to the point where I just want to throw. I don't care how well written a song is. If it's got recorded drum tracks on it, I just want to throw it
Yep,
out the door.
I know.
Because to me, that's laziness. And again, you got us drummers sitting out here that need work. Damn it, just
Hey,
hell, we'll work for minimum wage.
what about us bass players, man? There's not a bass player on the album. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Well, one thing I will give Richie though is of all guitar players that play bass, I think he plays bass better than most, even though you can still hear the guitar player playing bass aspect.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And it is a difference. I mean, I know people think, yeah, whatever, it's a bass, four strings, I can do it. But it's a difference. It's almost like asking somebody that plays the guitar to play a violin, right? It's
Mhm.
bass players are always kind of, to me, they sort of have that feel of like playing a violin. You have to be able to do that kind of playing with your fingers.
Well, I think one thing that guitar players think about when they're playing bass, they're looking at how they do their structure as far as chording,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and they're not thinking about counter harmonics and things like that. And they're not thinking
Yeah,
about, okay, well, I don't need to go up to the second octave on this. I can drop down, to the first one and just stay in that pocket, and
right.
it all fits, you know.
Yeah,
But I think that's what you talk. Because I've noticed like the difference between bass players and a guitar player playing bass. It's like they spend a lot of time way up in the middle octave on the neck.
yeah. And it's kind of, to me, they kind of like, sometimes they lose the rhythm. You know, they don't have the feel of what a bass player would feel
Right.
because
Right.
bass and drums work so well. That's why they're the rhythm section.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But it's the same with me when I play guitar because a lot of times I approach the guitar in the aspect of the bass line. So a lot of times I'm repeating what I'm doing on the bass on the guitar, so it sounds like a bass player playing guitar. Really, you
But
know?
that's not bad in some things, some
Right?
instances.
Yeah,
But
but you can
and
tell.
also too though, I can remember many rehearsals with Rick Stanley, uh, where Tom Lloyd would have to reteach Rick his bass line
Mhm.
because it was clashing with his left hand.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it
Yeah.
didn't need to be the same thing he was doing with his left hand. It just couldn't clash.
Right. Yeah. It didn't have that balance, that harmony,
Right.
like you were talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, let's go through the songs real quick. The first song, "Taking My Chances," man, that's a great rocker right there, right
Mm-hmm.
off the bat. I mean, that's a great riff. And what we got to remember here is we got two guitar players, so you're going to get guitar heavy songs this whole CD.
No,
And I
there's nothing
mean,
wrong with that. You know, I
not
mean,
at all. And I loved it, man. It was by, would they both switch off singing? But that riff, man, that first riff, man, that that's a great riff. And then they just rip it out from there. It's a good song though. And Richie's got that classic. He got into the past couple albums. He got this tone out of his Strat, which I'm guessing he's using a Strat on this one. It could be his Telly, but he's got that tone, that really high tone. I don't know
hmm
if you noticed it. You'll hear it throughout the record. It's not on every song because Richie's a master of sound too, but that tone is so distinctive of Richie. It's like there's no doubt when he was playing.
right,
And then
right.
Adrian has that fatter sound a little bit, but yeah, man, what a great song, great opener. And then you get to Running, and I really like this song, Running, and I
Yeah,
think it's a typical Adrian riff. It's something you definitely, I think he probably wrote this riff, but man, it had such a catchy chorus. And then both of them singing again. And then we get to Scars, the third song.
I like that song.
Man, I love that intro.
The thing that I liked about Scars, and I don't know, I might be on the wrong track, but I I really felt like, believe it or not, I'm gonna give Richie a lot of credit on drums on this because it was a lot
Yeah.
like the way Ringo would approach something. Wasn't a
Hmm.
lot of cymbals. It was a lot of drums,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a lot of cymbals. You know, and I love that when you can get away with playing a rock song without slam banging a bunch of cymbals. You've accomplished something.
And not only that, this song here was a lot of open space.
Yeah,
So he had, if he wanted to, could have overcrowded it. But I think you're right. I think he picked the right spots at the right time on this one.
yeah.
And the song itself is fantastic.
I liked it a lot. I mean, that's one of the. It's about three, maybe four songs that really caught my attention on here. But I didn't get tired of listening to anything on this album.
No, it was a great record. And with that acoustic intro with the electric coming in, and you could tell they built up. There's probably four guitar parts in the
Yeah,
beginning of that. I mean, you
yeah,
had at least two acoustics, right? Maybe, and then they layered it, and it's such a beautiful song. I loved it, and the way they sang it had so much feeling too. And there's actually a video for this one. I think actually maybe the first three have videos. I think.
I
I don't
saw
know.
four videos listed online. I didn't dig deeper, but that was on an opening page. You know, I
Yeah.
think it was four videos.
Could be. I know I saw at least three. So then we get to song four, and that's Some People. And he's got a heavy flange on that guitar part there, got that little funky groove.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was pretty good song. He talked about people getting under his skin, you know, uh, but not you, but you know who. So you got to think he's taking a jab at someone. I'm not really sure who, but somebody knows who. But it was a good song. I like it. It was a little change of pace. But with Scar slowing down a little bit, and then you get to Some People with that little funky thing. I thought that was pretty good change up in the record. Then you get to number 5, which is Glory Road. And man, every time I listen to that song, all I can think of is Come Together from the Beatles. It had that same bass, that doom doom doo
Yep,
doo.
yep, yep.
I mean, it didn't do it constantly like Come Together, but man, it sounded a lot like it to me.
Yeah.
But it was still a good song, though. Don't get me wrong. And it wasn't a ripoff of Come Together. The guitars
Right,
aren't like that, but
right.
that bass line sure sounded like it.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed that before. I mean, there's nothing that hasn't been done before.
No, it's not. So,
And all this plagiarism stuff, other than directly stealing lyrics or directly stealing a sound
yeah,
such as looping or sampling. I mean, it's all been done before.
it has. Yeah, and I don't ever say that somebody ripped off the Beatles or whoever. I just, it kind of reminds me of those songs.
Yeah.
And
No,
and if you're gonna do it, you might as well do the greatest, right? Do the greatest people out there if you're gonna take something from them. So
my
not
sweet
take
Lord,
it, but
my sweet Lord, and He's so fine.
that's right. So that gets us through the first 5 songs, and that's
Yeah.
all Richie on drums. And then we get to number 6, and that's Solar Fire, and that's got Nico McBrain, Iron Maiden's drummer,
Yep.
on it. And man, talking about a straight, flat out rock and roll song, boy, they hit you in the face on this one.
Yep, they sure
Uh,
do.
but it's a great song. Another great song. And then 7, we got You Don't Know Me. And to me, that chorus, man, it is so catchy that it's been in my head the whole time that you don't know me. I'm just a man behind the mask, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's another great one. And that's where Adrian's playing bass from here on out. Adrian Smith plays it on the next 3, according to what they have on the track listings. And then Tal Bergman is on drums on the next 3, according to the track listings. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
if you watch the video for Taking My Chances, Adrian is playing the bass on the video, but he's not listed in the tracks as playing it. So I don't know if they were just messing with us or what. But anyway, so You Don't Know Me. And then the 8th song, I Want to Stay. Let me tell you, the solo, you got to hear the solo in this song, because to me, if anyone's ever going to get close to Jeff Beck's style of playing, Richie does it in this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of that uh, tremolo bar
Yep.
with the bending and the pulls and I mean, it reminds me a lot of a Jeff Beck solo, and it's not easy to pull off a Jeff Beck solo.
No.
So if anyone's ever going to get close to doing a Jeff Beck, I think this song, that solo and that song, Richie nails it. I mean, I'm sure he's not trying to do that, but man, I was hearing Jeff Beck all over that solo.
Yeah.
So when y'all listen to it, check that out, man. It really, it's the 8th track, I Want to Stay, and man, what a solo. And then we get to the last song, and that's Till Tomorrow. Tal Bergman still on drums, but this was a great song too. And the ending of it is a typical Richie ending where they just flat out rock it, just total guitar solo at the end, and just play it until you can't play no more, basically. And
Yep.
that's a lot of this album is that way.
That's a stadium rocker.
Yeah. And it's true, man. I mean, you're gonna hear some great guitar solos on this album.
Yeah, I was happy with the whole album.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I need to buy a copy. Actually, I mean, I've just been listening to it on
you
Amazon.
should probably get the album, the vinyl. I bet the vinyl sounds real good.
Yeah, I've got a few I need to get on vinyl. It, that gets expensive.
It does. I know.
But it's worth it. Yeah, it is.
Right.
It really is.
I'm
Uh,
glad I bought all the ones I bought back in the day, even though they sound so much better now.
yeah, I
All
I
the
mean,
remastering they're doing. But and I
well,
know they
thing
have
is,
this one in vinyl.
got to watch that remastering though, because it winds up being a little bit more of a remix
It does.
than a mastering, and I don't like that aspect. I'd rather hear a remastering. But when you start messing with the mixes,
Yeah.
um, I just think, well, you've ruined the essence and the feeling
I,
that
I
was
agree.
originally there that captured everybody.
Well, one thing about, like, I will say on Zeppelin 4, when I got that one,
Yeah.
and Jimmy Page did all the remastering, and that album just is awesome. That is
Hmm.
a really great remaster job on that.
Yeah.
So, so this one, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a really good one if you get this, because I mean, with Kevin Shirley doing the mixing, the CD sounds so good. I can only imagine that the vinyl is going to sound that good as well.
Well, one thing I'll say too is that, and I'm glad they didn't do this, they didn't use any drop tuning.
Mm-mm.
You don't have any sub bass lines happening. It's just good, clear rock and roll.
It is,
And
yeah.
I my system sounded so good with it. I was like, yeah, thank God it's not like rattling the house
Yeah,
with sub bass.
right. It's
And I mean, there's a time and a place for that. Don't get me wrong; it works in some things.
yeah,
But when every album and CD you pick up has that sub bass, that drop tuning happening,
I know.
I don't want to hear that.
I know.
I mean,
I've
come
never
on.
been big on the drop tuning stuff either. I mean, occasionally you go down to a D, I get it, but
Yeah, yeah,
I just like just pick it up, plug it in, and play. And that's what you got with this record. I mean, basically they just took their guitars, plugged them in, and said, "What you got?" Okay, I got this. Let's put that
Yep.
in there.
Yep.
Boom. You know, I mean, this is definitely like if you were sitting around, a couple dudes picked it up, said, "Man, let's jam on this." I think that's what you get here.
Yeah.
You know, except for these guys are top notch. I mean, you know, they're not
Well, yeah.
very weathered musicians here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and Richie, I've been a fan of Richie's for years, man. I mean, I've got back there's a his autograph on a Winery Dogs CD hanging up cover. I've got another one in here that I've got an autograph. I've seen him 3 or 4 times. I've met him 2 or 3 times, and I mean, coolest dude, down to earth, one of the best, probably one of my favorite guitar players.
Didn't he
Definitely
sing
of
Black Hole
recent.
Sun?
No, that was Chris Cornell.
Okay, I thought that was
That's
Richie.
Audio Slave. Yeah, a lot of people think Richie sounds like him, but if you get into some of the Richie stuff, you'll start to see the differences.
Right.
But at first, it does sound like him
Yeah.
because that's what everybody always talked about. He sounds just like Chris Cornell. But I guess they have the same kind of
They got the same
way.
Intonation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But definitely check out some of his stuff with the Winery Dogs and some of his other stuff too.
I've heard some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Mike
and
Portnoy.
he's working with Stanley Clark again. They did an album together, and now I think they might possibly be doing another one soon. So
Yeah.
he had mentioned something about it, but and then,
Portnoy is the one that took me down the Winery Dogs thing.
yeah, I really like the Winery Dogs. I like both of them. The first one was a lot of pre-written songs. The second one was more of they got together and rocked
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah,
but
well,
I
the
mean,
biggest thing that the biggest thing I liked about the Winery Dogs, I mean, I like the music, but it's the fact that Portnoy played a club stage kit.
mhm,
I mean, it wasn't about building the master kit and
right.
taking 2 days to set the damn thing up in a semi truck to move it. I
Well,
mean,
I think it was fun from Portnoy too because he wasn't playing these 45-minute songs. You know,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
playing songs where you don't have to think so much. You just had fun. You
yeah.
know,
I just saw a
for the
thing
groove.
today on one of my drum things that I follow, and Mangini's got the biggest kit ever now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this kit, and it's kind of ridiculous looking a little bit.
Yeah, you got the rocket toms up above, and it's like,
Yeah,
really,
it's
I
kind
mean,
of like it's like that one guy Bazio's kit, right?
yeah, Terry Bozzio. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do with all these drums, man? I mean,
Well, one thing I will hand Bozzio on the whole situation, he's got everything up there for a specific musical note.
yeah, you're
You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he
And
plays it like a
that
xylophone.
right, yeah, and that's what he does is he's trying to create music with percussive instruments.
Yeah,
That's what he's doing.
right.
What I see Mangini doing, he's doing it. Believe me, the guy's a master. He's totally ambidextrous. He can go left or right-handed. I don't care.
Mhm. Yeah,
When you start throwing shit up over your head so you can sit there and do this stuff, I mean, yeah, it looks great on stage,
yeah,
but how effective is it really to your playing?
right. I know. And
I
I'm
mean, it's
and
like I could light my drumsticks on fire and play,
yeah,
but how, is that really something I should be doing? No,
yeah, because
because I got too
it's
much
kind of
hair
like
on my face.
yeah, exactly. It's not going to be a good ending, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah, I always hated seeing drummers with stuff they just have for show and they never use it the whole concert. It's like, you got 50-piece kit, but you only use 10. So what's the sense,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
And
know.
that's what I was saying about Richie
Yeah.
earlier on here. I'll guarantee you, he had a ride, a crash, a hi hat, and a rack, and a floor tom, and a bass drum, and a snare.
Yeah, I can
He had a
imagine it's
basic
only
stage kit,
yeah, it's probably a 4-piece kit,
Yeah,
5-piece at most,
yeah.
you know.
And I'll guarantee you that's what he used on every track he played.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if y'all aren't familiar with Richie, you got to go check him out. I mean, he is the king. Everybody's heard of Iron Maiden, so there's no doubt you've heard Iron Maiden in your life. But
Yeah,
some people don't know who Richie Kotzen is, man, and it's a shame because to me, he's definitely one of my top 5 all-time guitar players. I love him, man. You know,
But to
so
me, I always related him to vocals more. I mean, this turned me on to the fact that he really is a guitar player too.
oh man, he's a
But see,
singer, guitar player, songwriter. He's got it all, man.
but here's where the thing is. See, yeah, I mean, you've been totally into this music all through these years, and
Mhm.
I've been more, into the alternative, adult alternative, which is what they're calling country now and
Yeah,
country rock. I
is that
mean,
what they're calling
it's
it?
like, yeah, adult alternative.
Because I've got another word I call it.
Well, the new country is that's not even. I don't even want to go there. We'll probably get into that
Well,
when we
we'll get
do
into
the.
that, but I know I got other names for it.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
I
which
do
aren't
too.
very favorable.
Yeah,
So
and
anyway, we'll get to it eventually. I'm hoping
we'll
we
throw
don't.
it,
I'm hoping
throw
they
it
don't
big.
ever put anything out again.
Yeah, exactly.
So with this album, I think what you got a lot of catchy riffs, some good choruses. You know, you got some hooks, like you're saying, some fish hooks.
That's right.
But great guitar playing, great songs. I mean, at some point, some of them kind of sound similar. You know, I'm not gonna say that every song's different. They all kind of, follow the same method. So you may feel like a couple of them are starting to sound like something you've already heard on the record. But all in all, man, I mean, I think it's a great CD. I've got probably 4 or 5 songs that I think are really good out of the
Yeah.
9. So I'm actually going to give it a. I'm going to go with an 8.8 on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say between 8.5 and a 9. I think I'm gonna go with an 8.5 though, because like you were saying earlier, I think some of the tracks could have been better with Nico or Tal on
Mhm.
drums or
Yeah,
another drummer.
yeah,
But at the same time, I got to hand it to them. They made do with what they had,
yeah,
and Richie was in the pocket.
yeah. And I think if you go back and listen to some of Richie's solo stuff, you'll see that he plays most of that stuff himself on all of his albums.
Right,
So
right.
and you really dig him once you start getting into him. Now that you've got a taste of him, go back and check out some of his earlier stuff. And
Yeah.
he's
Well,
a monster, man.
and that's the whole thing too. I mean, I'm glad we're going down these roads because it's taking me back into what really got me into playing drums in the first place. Besides the
Yeah.
Beatles was, but yeah,
Yeah, I see what you're saying though, because it kind of brings you back,
yeah. Well, I mean, it gets me back into my days of being in the bedroom, thinking that I could do Don Brewer's job, or I could do
Yeah.
whoever's job,
Hey.
and who
Yeah.
knows, enough
Yeah.
drugs or whatever, I could convince you.
And but another thing too about this record is it's pretty simplistic. You got guitar, bass, and drums and
Right,
vocals. That's it.
right.
No keyboards, no weird sounds, no finger pops, clicks, clucks, whatever. It's just straight up plug it in and rock and roll.
Yep, yep.
So
No auto tune on the voice.
no auto tune, and I really love that. So
Oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing that.
yeah, and I was glad to hear Adrian singing. I felt like he's always been the guy that doesn't get much attention in Iron Maiden, and I've always liked him a lot. I've always liked
Right.
his songs, that he wrote with them. Great
I
player.
Yeah, he is a good player, and I hope to hear more out of him. He's got a real bluesy voice.
He does,
If
and it
he
was
would just
surprising.
push it more, if he
Yeah,
would push himself more and get a little more weathered on his vocals.
right. I know. And they're
I was
talking about
shocked.
they might even want to do some of this live, so that would be
I,
cool.
yeah, I was shocked uh, because I never knew Adrian Smith was a vocalist. You know, I
Me
mean,
either.
it is what it is.
He did sing one Iron Maiden song. I think it was called "Reach Out." It was a B side to something,
Yeah, yeah,
but you would have never
yeah.
known it if you weren't like a super huge fan of his or
Right.
Iron Maiden. But
Yeah.
so anyway, we'll wrap it up here. I gave it an 8.8. Mike gave it an 8.5.
Yep.
Great CD, great guitar. If you're a guitar player, you need to listen to this because it's great. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
all right. Well, until next time, y'all be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe and look for our interview sections that's going to be coming up. We got a gentleman we're going to bring on I've known for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
he's a regional hero in the mid-Atlantic coast there in Virginia Beach. Was with the band called Snuff, and
Yep.
had some music published, and we're gonna interview him, Chuck Larson.
Yep.
And
You might have, if you're a gamer, you probably heard some of this stuff.
yeah, yeah. Actually, and that's so funny too, because Apple is in court right now for taking royalties that they shouldn't be taking off the game. But
Well, we'll talk about that when we get with it. So
exactly, I don't think it affects him.
no, probably not. All right. Well, until next time, y'all be safe.
And see you later. Rock and roll and listen to the music.